Welcome back. I'm Steve Foxcroft, and my guest today is someone who you learn something new every day. Well, I did because we call her personality. Personality. Natalie Sexton is with us, and it's been fun so far learning about what you've done growing up and getting into retail and
Right.
everything. But for a lot of people who see you today, they go, "That's Natalie. I see her on Marilyn Dennis. I see her on CH. I see her on CTV right across the country."
Right.
So let's go back to that because
Mhm.
everyone has to start somewhere
Right.
and you have to get a break. You maybe have to be in the right place at the right
Sure.
time, but you just didn't start by being right on camera. How
Absolutely
did it go
not.
with you?
I never thought that I would be on camera. I was not the child that was the lead in the school play or loved public speaking. I actually was quite terrified of it for a long time. So I was a makeup artist and I was really hustling. Like Kijiji was kind of the way that you would advertise at that time. This is before Instagram. And I would go and do like fashion shows for free. And then I would do weddings and whatnot and carry around this binder of all my work. And one of the weddings that I did, I met someone who worked in advertising for CH Morning Live in sales. And she said, "Hi, I think they're actually hiring a makeup artist for the morning show. It's a really early start, like 4 a.m. But if you're interested, I loved she loved your makeup and she said I could introduce you. And I was like, yes. And I went down and I did a trial on somebody, maybe Connie Smith, and got hired. And I loved that job. That was like such a neat foray into TV and being behind the scenes. And I loved being behind the camera as opposed to in front of it and seeing everything that was going on and meeting people. And then out of the blue, it was Kate Carnegie, who was doing entertainment and weekend news, said, "We want you to do a segment on self tanner. So we'll just kind of do a little interview with you and you can talk about it. And since you're blogging and you have credibility and blah, blah, blah." And I was like, on camera? I just felt myself like overheating. And I said, okay, like that's the thing is I never say no to new experiences.
Was
And
that
this
for
is
your
what I've
mom
learned.
too? Did your
That's
mom give you that?
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Both my parents.
right.
Like, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Mhm.
You're not great, and then we don't do it again. It's
So
okay.
so you weren't sitting there evolving into, I want to do the makeup, but I want to get in front of the camera. It
No,
was almost, they
no,
came to you and said,
yes.
we want you in
Yeah, it
front of the
was
camera.
really, really neat. Like, did that and did a few more of those. And then within a few months, they said, "How would you like a segment called Sexton in the City? We'll do it sort of halfway through the evening news on Saturdays, and you can talk about whatever you want, latest fashion, the latest makeup." And I loved shows like Fashion Television
Right.
and City Line, Marilyn Dennis show at that time. I loved those kinds of segments. So I really got to create this kind of incredible curated Sexton in the City segment. And that was one of the greatest times ever. And I think the neat thing is that I always appreciated it, everything I've done at every moment. I was never thinking, okay, now I'm doing this, but the next thing needs to be this. I just always felt grateful and really kind of nurtured the project I was working on at that time.
That's awesome. And then
Hmm.
obviously you got noticed. You were doing a
Right.
good job. And then because you go to Maryland, you
Yeah.
CTV, all the things we've talked about. So
Yes.
tell us about those opportunities
Right.
and how you were approached to do it.
Marilyn Dennis show, I mean, I was such a huge fan and watching that show all the time, that show inspired so many things that I was doing at that time. And I got an email. It was like a cold call from one of their producers. And she said, "I love your blog and we watch your segments on CH on the weekends. And we're looking for a new fashion expert to join the cast. Would you like to come in and do like a trial run?" And I think I was frozen, like, it just was, "Is this real? Like,
Mhm.
is this actually happening?" And that was probably the most nervous I have ever been in my entire life. So I said yes, went to Toronto, did sort of I guess like an audition style, not with Marilyn, but with one of her producers. And the next day they said, "We'd love to have you on. So we'll have you on in 2 weeks, and this is going to be your topic and you're hired." Like, it was just like, is this actually happening? It just felt so surreal. I don't think I ate for like 2 days before filming. And when I was done, I think I cried in the car afterwards because in happy tears because I was
Right.
just so so overwhelmed, of all the steps to kind of get to this moment that I could have never even dreamt of. It was pretty special.
Who was the first couple of people you told when Marilyn Dennis said, we're hiring you? Who
My
did you tell?
mom.
Your
Like,
mom, for
mom
sure.
was first one,
Yeah.
definitely, because, she was a big fan as well, and we'd always talk about, like, what was the fashion on the Friday, and
Yeah.
she just was such a Canadian icon. I think I told my dad, and he sort of said, like, "Who
Who's
is that?"
that?
He said, "Congrats, but who is that?"
Right.
So, the juxtaposition there, both supportive.
That's great. We need to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. You're watching Canadian Innovators. When we come back, I'm going to ask her how much prep time to do a 3 or 4 minute segment on Marilyn Dennis. Stay with us.